No, I haven't.
So what is that photograph that as a lot of people will have seen, has been on the front pages? It's taken last year, end of April, beginning of May. Just explain what that was.
Happily. I was in a constituency office just days before the election. We were very busy. We were working in the office, and we stopped for something to eat, and then we carried on working. That is the long, the short of it. No party, no breach of the rules, and absolutely no comparison with the Prime Minister.
But there were rules in place. This was step 2 guidelines at the time. No person may participate in a gathering in the step 2 area which consists of 2 or more people and takes place indoors unless it's reasonably necessary for work purposes.
We were in the office, the constituency office. It was days before the election. We were very busy. We were working. At some point, some food turned up. We stopped. We had our food, and then we carried on working. That is not a breach of the rules. It's not a party, and it is no comparison to the Prime Minister.
Drinking a beer, is that reasonably necessary for work purposes?
We'd stopped to eat a takeaway whilst we were working in the office, and then we carried on. This was, just to put it in context, this was about a few days before the May elections. We were really busy. We'd been at it all day on Zoom calls. We were doing members calls from that very office. We stopped because food arrived, and then we carried on.
There were rules in place, and the guidance, the workplace guidance that was in place at the time. Participants should physically attend meetings only where reasonably necessary. There should not be any sharing of food and drink by staff who do not share a household.
Well, Sophie, trying to persuade anybody that stopping to have some food when you're in the office all day working is a breach of the rules is just not going to wash. And it shows just how far the Conservatives are sinking, that they're trying to pretend there's some sort of comparison between this and the industrial scale partying that the Prime Minister's been up to.
That photograph of the Prime Minister on the terrace at Downing Street, Dominic Cummings is there, the cheese and wine photograph. Why is that any different? That is an office. We can't hear what they were saying. They say it was a meeting. You say that was a meeting. Why is that any different?
Well, people will look at the photos and make their own minds up. But I think that there is simply no comparison.
That is my point. People are making their own minds up on photographs, aren't they? And they were having cheese and wine. They say they were having a work meeting like you were. They were outside, which actually is safer in terms of the virus than being inside drinking beer with colleagues.
But Sophie, I've explained we were in the office. It was days before the election. We were working really hard. At some point in the evening, a takeaway arrived and we stopped and we ate it. That is the long and the short of it. Not a party, not a breach of the rules, and no comparison with the Prime Minister.
So you have accepted that drinking was okay within the guidelines at the time. Where do you draw the line?
Well, the line is drawn in the rules. And the Prime Minister broke the rules.
I've just told you what the rules. I mean, that is the point, isn't it? The rules were great. It's difficult. The rules weren't great, but I mean, how they've been interpreted.
It's not a question of how they've been interpreted. It was perfectly lawful to meet for work, which is what we were doing. The party that was put to the Prime Minister on Wednesday happened because an invitation was sent to 100 people saying, let's have some socially distant drinks in the garden and bring your own booze. There is simply no comparison, and anybody who's trying to make a comparison is really just sinking in this mire. We've had industrial scale parting from the Prime Minister, and then we've had his 3 defences and the lies that have gone behind those defences. It simply can't be right for the Prime Minister to say he was assured there were no parties. By the way, who assured him? His principal private secretary sent out the invites, or somebody else? Then he says he's furious about the parties. Now he says he was at the party, but he didn't realise.
So all that happening whilst we've been living under strict rules, strict restrictions. Is it right now that all restrictions should be dropped in the next 10 days?
Look, I think the sooner we can lift the final restrictions, the better. I think that's what the whole country wants.